All right, so about 6 months ago, I did something that honestly felt a little nuts at the time. I said goodbye to my amazing full time assistant and decided to replace her with an AI system. And what happened next? Well, it was not at all what I expected. Let's get into how this whole experiment just completely flipped my workday on its head. Okay, so for the last 3 years, I was paying $5,000 every single month for an assistant who was, just incredible. She handled all my research, my emails, my drafts, everything. And let me be clear, she was worth every single penny. And then I replaced about 90% of all that work with a handful of AI tools that cost me, wait for it, just $30 a month. 30? That's a 99% drop in cost. But here's the crazy part. The money, believe it or not, isn't even the most surprising thing about all this.
So you're probably wondering, what happened when I made the switch? Did my work just grind to a halt? Did the whole thing just fall apart? Nope. Actually, the exact opposite happened. My productivity didn't just stay the same. It actually went up. Significantly. The work that used to take the two of us a good 12 hours a day, I'm now getting it done in just 4. And this, right here, points to a huge misunderstanding that I think most people have about what AI is really for.
This quote just nails it. You see, most people are using AI like it's a souped-up search engine. You ask a question, you get an answer. But the real magic, the real power, gets unlocked when you start treating it like a collaborator, a real thinking partner. This isn't about using a cool trick here and there. It's about building a whole system that works for you.
So what does this system actually look like in practice? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. It's built on just 3 specific tools. Each one has its own job, but when you link them all together, man, the results are just incredible. So let's break down exactly what these tools are and what they do.
Okay, first up, we've got NotebookLM from Google. Think of this as my personal research analyst. Then there's Claude, which is my go-to expert writer for anything that needs that human touch. And finally, the third piece of the puzzle is Make.com. This is the invisible engine that just automates everything in the background. Okay, so here's the really important thing to know about NotebookLM. It only works with the stuff you give it. This is a total game changer. Like, I can upload a massive 200-page report for a client meeting, and then instead of slogging through it for hours, I can just ask it questions. What are the key strategic implications? And boom, I get an answer that's cited and perfectly accurate because it's only using my document. But check this out. One of its absolute best features is something called Audio Overview. It literally takes my documents and turns them into a 20-minute podcast-style summary. I just listen to it on my commute, and by the time I get to my desk, I'm completely briefed on some really complex stuff. And I haven't even technically started working yet. It's awesome. All right, let's talk about tool number 2, Claude. Now, I've played around with all the big AI models out there, and I keep coming back to Claude because its writing just sounds human. It doesn't have that robotic feel. It's my absolute go-to for things like client proposals, scripts, or those really important emails where the tone has to be just right. The secret to using Claude effectively, it's all about context. You can't just ask it a simple question. You have to brief it, just like you would a talented contractor. You give it a role. Hey, you're a marketing expert. You give it detailed background, you tell it what you need, you specify the tone. I even use it to challenge my own thinking. I'll ask it, what blind spots do I have here? What critical questions am I not asking? It's a true thinking partner. Okay, on to our third tool, Make.com. This one is kind of the secret weapon. It's like the digital glue that connects all your different apps. It lets them talk to each other and pass information back and forth automatically. And the best part? You don't have to write a single line of code. Let me give you a concrete example. Every morning, instead of me having to open 5 different apps to check emails, news, and my to-do list, Make.com does it for me. It compiles one single brief with all of that info and just emails it to me. Or let's say a new client signs on. Make.com automatically fires off a welcome email and sets up their project in my system without me lifting a finger. It's seriously automation for everyone. So we've talked about the individual tools, right? But the real magic happens when you see how they all work together throughout a normal day. It's not about using them one by one. It's about building this seamless workflow. So let's walk through what a typical day looks like with this system. All right, so a typical day might start around 8 a.m. First thing, I'm reading that automated morning brief from Make.com. Then, maybe around 10 a.m., I'm on my commute or grabbing coffee, listening to a research summary from NotebookLM. In the afternoon, it's time to draft a big proposal, and I'll work with Claude as my partner on that. And then, at the end of the day, I just dictate a quick voice note, and boom, Make.com and Claude work together to turn it into a perfectly organized to-do list for tomorrow. So I actually tracked this for about 90 days, and the results were just stunning. On average, I'm saving 3.2 hours every single day. Do the math on that. That adds up to 24 full work weeks a year. That's almost half a year of time that I get back to focus on the stuff that actually requires a human brain.
But look, I want to be really clear about something. It's so important to understand the limits here. This system is incredibly powerful, yes, but it's not a person. And there are some things it just can't do and frankly shouldn't do. AI is fantastic at things like processing huge amounts of information, finding patterns, and spitting out a first draft in seconds. It's all about speed. But what it doesn't have is lived experience. It has zero creative intuition. It can't make an ethical judgment call. That's where we, the humans, come in. And honestly, those skills are now more valuable than they've ever been. So if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. AI is a tool for leverage. That's it. The goal isn't to replace your thinking. It's to amplify your capabilities, to free you up from the grunt work so you can focus on the stuff that's uniquely human. Deep thinking, building relationships, real creativity.
And that really brings us to the most important part, actually doing something with this information. This isn't some far-off future tech. This is a system you could start building like this afternoon. So I'll leave you with a question. Which of these 3 tools are you going to try first?